Look what we've got today. It's another couple of issues of White Dwarf from the glory days, the golden days of Games Workshop hobbying. So we're going to take a dive, but before we do that, you know what's coming. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notifications button, leave us a comment, and we will get on with White Dwarf 1985 and 1990. Okay, here we are again, back on the green baize, which doesn't have too much in the way of flashing on it now because I have just hoovered it. It still has a little bit of lead. Never mind. A little bit of lead is good, right? Good for the body, good for the soul. I have been painting Wolf Riders. There you go. I've been painting Wolf Riders. Wolf Riders are coming soon, and People on Pigs are coming soon, and Vampire Dudes with Big Wings are coming soon. There you go. Advanced notice. Right, let's get on with it while we're still in December. We're going to have a look at a couple of December's White Dwarfs. I've been leaving this a little bit late, and I've got, I think, 4 videos that I want to put in December. And we've only got 2 weeks left in December, so there's an issue there. Never mind, we will do this one in December. So this is White Dwarf 72. This is December 1985, the last White Dwarf in 1985, and here we have a Cthulhu-y cover. And here we have an announcement. We've got Slay Wars, the Chaotic Christmas board game in this issue, Talisman expansions, and the Necklace of Brisingamen, the high-level Advanced Dungeons and Dragons adventure. Okay, so let us crack on with that. Happy Christmas from Ian Livingston. Always nice. Open Box is reviewing the Doctor Who role-playing game from Fuzzer. Sorry, just adjust me light a little bit so hopefully you can see it a bit better. Commenting on how it's great to see an American company doing a British staple as well as they have done, as well as Pendragon, the ultimate in role-playing games, the ultimate in cross-generational role-playing games for those with lots of time on their hands. And also the board game Wabbit Wampage from Pace Setter, which looks fairly terrible, and according to the review is not as terrible as it could be, but is still overall a 6. This is cartoon characters running amok on a farmyard, fighting between the various different factions, and also trying to make sure that they've got food for the winter. Here we have some extra bits and pieces for Talisman, and a look at Talisman's new expansion set. This is first edition Talisman, of course. Nice to see these printed in colour. You basically fold this in half, and then you've got your cards, and you don't need to worry about what's on the reverse of them, because on the reverse of them is just an advert. Would you be pissed if you were one of the companies that are taking an advert that was going to be backed? Probably not. Probably people who are going to read it will have already read it. So this just gives you a rundown of what's in the expansion, and as we would expect from Talisman expansions, it's more of the same, more dice rolling, more time to be spent wandering around not achieving very much. Here is a Call of Cthulhu scenario, which is absolutely nothing to do with this image on the front cover, which, by the way, let's try and find out. Does it give us a credit for the cover illustration? Lee Gibbons, there we go. I don't know what it was from originally, but I'd imagine it's something Call of Cthulhu-y. Here we have quite a nice little concise scenario, designed to be squeezed in between other things that might be going on. At any point in which the characters are going to be taking a trip by plane, they can take a trip by this plane. It is an old ex-bomber that's been converted into a passenger transport, and so there's some nice details on the historicity of that, how that works, where everyone's seating. You get a list of all of the passengers with their various aims and motives, some good, some not so good, reasons for travel, etc., and a little chronology of events during the flight. yeah, and the players can get as involved or not as they want to. I like those little scenarios for White Dwarf where you're basically saying here's something extra you can do with your players in between whatever you might be doing with them otherwise. Here's a discussion on mad scientists in heroes and villains, because of course you can't have a superhero game without your requisite mad scientists. And here is Thrud taking over from Santa, who has had a dodgy carrot or a dodgy mince pie. And Thrud, of course, being the generous soul that he is, agrees to deliver all of these presents. Quite how he gets down the chimney, I don't know. Maybe the same way as an obese Santa manages to squeeze himself down the chimney pots. But anyway, the kids are very happy with Thrud's toys. A teddy, yeah, okay. A dolly, yes, okay. A toy axe, or knowing Thrud, is it a toy axe? Anyway, the kids are very happy. The parents less so, because Thrud's eyes are less on the mince pies that have been left for Santa and more on the various trinkets and gold and jewels lying around. Here is that necklace of Brisingamen, however you're supposed to say that. This is, as you would expect from an AD&D scenario in White Dwarf, it's a sort of setting. So here's a place that the characters can stumble into. It's quite a nice map. The colours are quite logically put out on this one. You know, there's no great big red page or something to stop you from reading what's on there. That works quite nicely. Gives you a summary of the history of the village. Basically, you've got some kind of Norse cult going on here that worship Freya, and Loki is up to his requisite trickery, trying to recover the necklace of the title, which is buried somewhere in the village beneath the remains of the previous Temple of Freya. And of course, it's a fairly typical dungeon bashy thing. You can do a little bit of wandering around the village, talking to people, finding out the history of the place, but then ultimately, once you've found the ruins, you're going down to try and find the necklace before Loki's people do. Here's a little bit on character backstories, but more on the process of generating player characters. So it's a bit of a comparison between different systems, what the author, Pete Tamlin, what he finds works and doesn't work in the various systems, and it compares quite diverse systems. It compares the 007 system, for example, with Golden Heroes, with AD&D. It's an interesting overview. I'm not sure whether you could use it to alter your character generation system, but you could certainly use it to make a few changes, I guess, to certainly put into the players' heads the kind of things that they need to be thinking about. Here is that aforementioned Slay Wars board game. Entertainingly, you have 4 characters: Santa Claus, the Anti-Claus, General Nicholas B. Claus III, the Third Jr., and the ongoing of Spirit at Christmas, where it's at in its present moment in time, who are trying to deliver their presents to the residents of this village: Janet and John, Tiny Tim, B.A. Humbug, Stephen Glenda Jackson, Stephen Susie Jackson, and Santa Claus, as you would expect, is bringing them all the nice, jolly presents. The Anti-Claus is bringing them mean, vicious, rotten, depraved presents, which include roller skates. I'm not quite sure why, except maybe they're left at the top of the stairs by the Anti-Claus, but also includes things like a conservative government. We definitely don't want one of those for Christmas, and an appearance on Game for a Christmas Laugh. General Nicholas B. Claus III Jr. is a decent, clean living Santa and scourge of the commie pervert so-called Father Christmas, brings the people the presents they need but might not want. Such things as the DIY Fallout Shelter, the DIY Cruise Missile, the Brush, Whitewash and Protect and Survive subscription, an ownership certificate for 1 square foot of the Falkland Islands. Definitely dating this dating this magazine. And the ongoing spirit of Christmas, where it's at this moment in time, brings people significant now-type presents in a meaningful way, such as Mr. and Mrs. Pack Person, an adoption voucher, entry into the London Marathon and aerobics course, a domestic robot, social services season tickets, and a YTS trainee. And all of these things are wanted by all of these various people, and you've got to get the right presents to the right people. Getting the right presents to the right people scores you some victory points. Getting the wrong presents but still delivered to people gets you less victory points. You can only visit each house once. And of course, you're trying to battle with your opponents using the weapons that are mounted on your sleigh, such as the turkey cannon, the Xmaset, the lasers, the brandy flamer, and the snowstormer, which shoot out various points of your sleigh, and then cause your opponents to crash using this crash table. I think probably in the middle here was where the board was. This this copy of this edition sadly does not have that anymore, but if you have a look on Board Game Geek, you can see the entertaining breakdown, which gives you the sleigh where all the weapons fire, with a crib sheet, and then the map itself in glorious red and grey with the various houses, and it's a hex map, and you're moving around trying to shoot people out of the sky before they have a chance to deliver their presents. Excellent festive fun for all the family. This appears to be an article, but in actual fact, you can see at the top it says it's an advertisement. This is an advertisement for Dragon Warriors. This is a glorious spiel as to why Dragon Warriors is the absolute best role-playing game ever by the guys who wrote Dragon Warriors. Here we are talking about some outside of dungeon events for AD&D, as if we need more of those. An advert for the Third Citadel Compendium with, of course, Caleb Dark, the excellent anti-hero. A discussion on dioramas by Joe Deaver. Interesting, his definition of diorama is a miniature scene that depicts figures in a natural setting or habitat. He then goes to talk about, in this one, what he calls an open display or a scenic base, where figures are shown off on a base without sides and with a minimum of background detail. This I would describe as a vignette. That's largely because my founding experience of dioramas and vignettes comes from Bill Horan's excellent military modelling masterclass books, where anything that's on a base which doesn't have a backdrop, isn't meant to be viewed from a particular angle, is a vignette, so you can have a look all the way around it. Anything which is in a box or is meant to be viewed from one particular direction with a background on it is a diorama, and it says they will discuss those in future issues. And there's some amazing miniatures images on this one. Look at this. This is crazy. This Citadel Orc on this scratch-built bat monster thing. This is great. This, of course, classic John Blanche three-headed Minotaur with his Mona Lisa banner. A bit of a dissection of that down here, which is excellent because it's such a wonderful figure. It's nice to have a look at all of the bits in more detail. And this is actually quite a high-resolution photo for the time, so you can see it quite clearly. It points out how many of these sort of mushrooms and Venus flytraps and things on the base were sculpted by Kev Adams, which is nice. Nice to see a lot of bits into that. I don't know where this model is now. It'd be lovely to see this in real life. Here's a Nick Bibby diorama, so of course it's going to be amazing. Or I should say it's a vignette because it's a base with figures on top, but in the sense of this, it's a open diorama with a scratch built from Nick Bibby. That doesn't, it's not saying much, is it? I mean, that's his job. He's a sculptor, so a sculpt from Nick Bibby that didn't get made into a figure, sadly. Giants at the bottom here of this pile of rocks that are actual rocks stacked up around a wireframe, so goodness knows how much this weighs, with a leopard on a leash, and a captive, a non-PC captive here, and of course this character at the top here, which is listed as an Asgard giant, but in actual fact this is the troll chieftain. He's got some kind of bat creature on his back, and this is probably my favourite ever fantasy miniature. Not necessarily this version of it, but I have one. I probably need to get another one now. Alternative armies are selling them. Really brilliant. Love the troll chief figure. So this ranks highly in my esteem, so does this. Look here, we've got another Nick Bibby figure. This is the glorious sort of troll demon creature. I'm not so big a fan of this paint job. It's a little bit stylized, but interesting to see different paint jobs on this figure. This one, this latest edition from Archeton's Fortification range, looks a little bit out of place, but I guess you could put it as part of a vignette, so maybe that's why it's there. And then a black and white picture of Citadel's Judge Dredd range there. And then we're on to letters. Then we're on to, oh look, Travellers. Let's skip past the Travellers. It's a bit of a summary of Games Day, and look how glorious this looks. This is Players Guild's Mega City board. I think there are some close-up colour photos of this in future editions, or at least of parts of this scenery, because I remember seeing this spaceship in colour and this in colour with some judges in front of it. Players Guild, of course, creating awesome scenery at the time, and this time turning their attention to Judge Dredd as the figures are about to come out. And there we are. Where's Gobbledygook? There doesn't appear to be a Gobbledygook in this edition. Oh, that's sad news. Very sad news. Let me just scroll past in case I missed him. I don't think I have. Why get rid of Gobbledygook and not axe the Travellers? Don't know. Anyway, never mind. No hassle. There we have White Dwarf, December 1985. Ho ho ho. Merry Christmas to all and sundry. But not Gobbledygook, apparently. Sad times. Oh well. Cool, right, that's that one sorted. So, skipping forwards 5 years to, let's get the shine off the cover so we can see nicely. White Dwarf 132, this is December 1990, in its lovely compact format, full colour format, glue bound, not stapled format. Yeah, I'm saying a lot about the format because I'll pick up on this later on. Yeah, I'll pick up on it later on. Here's that cover of, or the cover that I know from Storm Warriors. I'm not sure if it was used elsewhere, the novel Storm Warriors. Dark Elves on the rampage. Oh, I was going to, so I forgot something I was going to say about this one. This is interesting. Here's the little shiny chromed White Dwarf logo by the side of the big White Dwarf logo. And look, this one is not quite this. This is taken from a different silhouette, but there's coming along. The evolution of the design of the White Dwarf logo. Now with the little Citadel logo on the side. Anyway, here we go. Here we have an advert for Realm of Chaos. So obviously we are we're still in 3rd edition Warhammer here. We haven't got to 4th edition Warhammer just yet. We're coming right up at the end of 3rd edition, and I tend to associate this format of White Dwarf, this size, with the advent of 4th edition. I tend to think all of the 3rd edition stuff is in the older magazine format, but it is not so. It is only so in my head. So there you go. Not that interesting a fact, really. Oh, it's by Fangorn. There you go. Storm Warriors by Fangorn. And this is a glorious, glorious Christmas edition. I imagine if I had got this edition just before Christmas, I would have been very satisfied reading this over the festive period in my break from school. Here is D-Rock recording Get Out of My Way at the Slaughterhouse Recording Studio with Brian May. Hooray! Giving some credibility to D-Rock. Yes, Warhammer Records, an interesting thing. I can't say I'm actually that interested. Sabbat maybe had some good stuff, but other than that, not really into it. Let's crack straight into the good stuff here with Hills and Mines Modelling Workshop by Dave Andrews and Phil Lewis. Look at this glorious setup. I don't think I have seen this anywhere outside of this edition of White Dwarf. Maybe this mine popped up in other places. I remember seeing something vaguely similar to this, but not quite as textural as this. So maybe they revised it, revamped it, whatever. But yes, here's how to make polystyrene hills. But not only polystyrene hills, but also this really fancy mine, and it gives you templates for it and talks about using the balsa wood to make it, how to make these really cool draped fabric roof things. Yeah, it's a very cool little modelling article. I think I should probably do this one at some time. Get templates for the truck, that would be really nice. I haven't seen many people do this one. I think maybe I should do that one. That would make quite a good series, don't you think? Modelling through the modelling articles in White Dwarf. Let's see if I have time to do it. As we have talked about Realm of Chaos coming out, here is Realm of Chaos for Epic. They covered demon armies in the last edition, or Chaos armies in the last edition. Here is demons and their conjuration, how to summon demons and what they do in Epic. More confrontation, and this time we actually get some rules. This is how to create your gangs, and when I say rules, what I really mean is here's how to roll random stuff on tables. Hooray! It does say you can go in and you can pick what you want for your gang as well if you want to, but where's the fun in that? This is Games Workshop in the 80s, so actually this is just in the 90s, isn't it? So of course everything is random rolls. So you roll to create what kind of gang, with the majority being clan gangs. That's obviously what became the basic gang in Necromunda. Your Orlocks, your Goliaths, your Escher, your Van Saar, your Delax. They're clan gangs, but we've also got Psykers, Mutants, Scavies and Nomads, Undercities, Brats, Tech gangs and Venators. Should you roll those things? You start off, so you generate your type of gang, you roll your leader's prestige, which is just d6 plus 6. So you can have high prestige, you can have low prestige, and then you get the number of followers rolled on this table. So you roll for the number of your followers, and then you roll for the prestige and status of each of your followers. So you can have raw recruits, that is Juves, hardened gang fighters and henchmen, that is heavies and champions, and then you randomly roll their profiles, their initiative, their weapon skill and their ballistic skill. Everything else is pretty much the same, and then you get modifiers based on what your gangs are, and then you randomly generate their equipment from these tables, and you can generate a stash of extra equipment and some cash that your gang starts off with to buy more stuff as well, and then you can give your characters some skills. So this is all very random rolled, which is great because it means that you can't optimize your gang selection. You have to play with what you've got, and if you've got what you've got is rubbish tough, that you're just one of the rubbish inhabitants of the Underhive, and I love it. I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's really great. I'm not usually a fan of just rolling, but rolling random generation before you start the game, I am a big fan of as a counter to power gaming. Little discussion of caryatids, because if your leader is high enough status, he will attract some caryatids to help him out. Here we have some cool Tyranids. I do like these plastic Tyranids. I know they look a bit gawky, goofy from some angles, but they're really, really nice models. And Scouts and Gene Stealers from Advanced Space Crusade, which is what we're looking at now. Here's how to play Imperial Guard in Advanced Space Crusade. There is Advanced Space Crusade. More random rolling for Mighty Empires, because Mighty Empires needs more random rolling. When I say I'm a fan of random rolling for character generation, here is random rolling that I am not in favour of. The endless, relentless, monotonous random rolling for Mighty Empires. Some more tiles for Mighty Empires, and another modelling workshop, this time for 40k, This time, look at this cool plasticard hips built Baneblade. Of course, this is long before the Forge World days. Templates for a rather advanced modelling of a completely scratch built, not even any Games Workshop components, although of course you can add random Games Workshop components to your heart's content, but you don't need to. Everything that you need to build is here in template form, and here's how you use it. Yeah, very cool, very cool. Not going to be building one of those, but very cool. We look at the illuminations of Stephen Tappin. Some very cool drawings here that we'll recognise from various places. Kind of a bit of an Ian Millerish vibe going on in some of these. I bet actually some of his illustrations, certainly these little sort of ones, were mistaken for Ian Miller. Very cool. Orc Mechaniacs. Stuart Willis painting these excellent bony Deathwing Terminators. A reposed Tyrannid Warrior. See, I told you could make cool looking Tyrannid Warriors out of these plastic kits. There are a couple at Foundry that have reposed ones as well, and being plastic they're easy to chop up and repose, so excellent for that. And then here's the metal prototype Space Crusade figures, and now my assumption was that these were Mike McVie paintings. Certainly the Orc and Gretchen, and I think the android looks like McVeigh's nice clean blending technique, but these ones don't look so much like McVeigh's work, and in fact if you have a look at the heavy metal summary in here, it does say that these were split between Tim Prow and Mike McVeigh, so not Stuart Bliss in fact, but Tim Prow, and I think these are Tim Prow paintings, and these are in the cabinets at Foundry as well, should you wish to go and see, including the Metal Dreadnought, which is cool. And then we've got some articles, or an article for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Ironstone Pass, an encounter for mountain journeys, which involves, as you might be able to discern, a slightly different kind of wolf. It's another encounter on the route to something else. Good old form. And then we've got some mail order pages. The lovely Genestealer Patriarch, Metal Genestealers, Eldar Guardians, and the hybrids. I used to have some of these. I traded them away. I'm a bit sad about that now. I'd quite like to have done those for now for Space Hulk, but they are crazy expensive. Even with the plastic ones available, they're crazy expensive now. Anyway, never mind. And some adverts for the Flame Publications Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay scenarios, campaigns, that's the word I want, campaigns. Let's see if I can zoom in here. Here we go. This is probably out of focus on the camera, but it's actually quite out of focus in real life as well, but that's quite fun because it means you can kind of have a dig around in this image and go, what's that? You can see there's the Eldar Orc bot hiding away in here. There's some of the squigs, the earlier squigs, farseers and things lurking in the distance. This converted Goth Orc Rhino in here is pretty cool. So yeah, lots of things to hunt around and dig at. And this photo of an Eldar ambush on an Orc column. There we go. Right, let's zoom out again far enough to find both our images. Thank you for joining me for this one. Next week, of course, we will have our other nostalgia trip to my childhood with the 1995 issue of White Dwarf. Join me again for that one. Take care.